Okay. Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and my guest today from CF Search Marketing, the the wonderful Craig Farmer and Laura Hayes. Hi, guys.
Hi, Jim.
Hey Jim, how you doing, buddy?
I'm having the best day of my life. Now, these guys are from CF
Excellent.
Search Marketing, and we're going to talk. And
We are.
they're both featured speak. No, one of them is a featured speaker, and one of them is an executive in the company. Uh, Internet Battle Plan. Well, first of all,
That's right.
I'm on Craig. There you are, good looking man. Hey, Craig, let me
Thank
ask
you.
you, what's your background? What qualifies you to speak on how to help other people?
In a nutshell, 15 years of dealership. I was on the front lines in the dealership. Executive marketing director for the last 7 years. General manager of a dealership of a Highline dealership for 7 years. But I've pretty much done just about everything. Built
Now,
two
that was a
photo
small
booths.
store that you were running the BDC, right?
Well, the 7 years where I was the general manager, it was a Mitsubishi and a Highline pre-owned store. We sold anywhere from slow month was 85, busy month was about 115
That's a pretty
cars
good
total.
store, especially
Yeah, it was a when the primary owner sold it, it was a $42 million a year company. Solid business. Now, most recently, up until this past December, when I joined CF Search, I was the executive marketing director for the Len Stoller Automotive Group. So I oversaw all internet BDC operations as well as all the digital advertising for the entire group. They have two stores where a colleague in New York, where a colleague of mine, I think you know him, Adam Smith, bright guy. He handled the two stores in New York, Westbury Toyota and BMW Oyster Bay, which are Westbury's a 500 car a month store. He's a powerhouse up there.
fantastic. Well, see, I knew the answer to the question. In other words, Craig, I know you're super qualified. I just wanted to hear it from you. Now, on the other hand, we got Laura. Laura, tell us about you. Question. In other words, Craig, I know you're super qualified. Laura,
Yes.
tell us about you.
So I've been with CF Search Marketing for about 3.5 years. I'm director of account management. I came here from a dealer group in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, right on the New Jersey border. I was their marketing director, so I dealt with digital and traditional. Also, the BDC processes, pretty much every process in the dealership. At the time, Chrysler had a dealer standards program, so I was in charge of the dealer standards program. Worked at the dealer group for 6 years on both sides, sales and service. And prior to that, I was 15 years in trucking and busing. So it was an interesting transition from trucking and busing over to automotive, but certainly not shocking. But it's definitely a very unique industry.
What I wanted to establish is both of you have extensive retail backgrounds. You know,
Correct.
that's one thing I really love about Internet Battle Plan. That most of our speakers have got a really substantial track record before they went to the vendor side. Now, Craig, you're going to be speaking at Internet Battle Plan. What are you going to be speaking about?
Well, we'd like to cover something that we feel that hasn't necessarily really been covered too much in some in other conferences or shows recently, which is and I have to give credit where credit's due to Miss Laura. There's a scene from Jerry Maguire where they're standing in, I guess it was the men's locker room, and Jerry's screaming at the football player for him to help me help you. And what we found, Laura's in the dealerships, every single day of the week. I mean, girl works pretty much around the clock. And what we found a lot of times is sometimes there can be a great disconnect between dealer principals, general managers, and the guys that are sticking, or girls that are sticking their necks out on the line, which are the internet managers, internet directors, e-commerce directors, marketing directors, where sometimes the marketing strategies or BDC sales strategies that are tried and true and know that are definitely going to work and sell cars, some of the, I'll just say, old school dealer principals or general managers that sometimes can be a little apprehensive of a newer way to sell cars. We're going to put together a really nice presentation on how to work with general managers and dealer principals versus around them or through them.
Well, that's one thing about Internet Battle Plan. We have a lot of dealer principals and general managers in the room.
That's right.
You know, you've been to several now, and I know Laura, you've probably been to what, 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, from experience, we have a lot of general managers and dealer principals in the room. So, bridging the gap is what you're going to be talking about. How to communicate.
100%.
The communication from old school to new school, the communication from the top management to the soldiers on the battlefield.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, sometimes, I mean, I was always lucky enough to have dealer.
Yeah, hang on one second, Laura.
I said we have a philosophy that there's no such thing as too much communication. So we have a role with our company of over communicating with our clients, with our client staff, involving as many people as possible. Obviously, internally, we over communicate. Literally have like 700 different channels that we communicate with each other on, so that we're all in the know of what's new and what's cool and what's going on, what's working for one guy that maybe we should try for another dealer. But on the dealership side, when I worked inside of the dealership, I noticed, you know, of course, we always held our ad agencies accountable, but at the same time, nobody was giving them information to make them perform better. It shouldn't be a set it and forget it where everything's just copied from the last dealer that they signed up and they just change out your name. Every dealer is, even though we all sell very similar cars or the same exact cars, every dealer's process is different. Every dealer's why buy messages are different. Every dealer's challenges and goals internally or OEM goals are all different. And if your advertising agency or anybody that you utilize on the outside is not aware of what your goals are or what your challenges are at every level, they really can't do 100% of the job. So there's many times where we ask, you know, constantly to be involved, you know, CC your agency on emails you're getting from the OEM. Half the time the dealers aren't even reading those emails, which is fine because they know what they're doing and they know it's, you know, maybe nothing they have to deal with right at the moment. But forward it to your agency. It may be completely irrelevant to your agency, but let them decide. Let them take a look at it, read through it. They may have an idea that sparks and email you back and say, hey, I read this. Like, let's change up the marketing. Or I saw that they put another $500 rebate on, you know, Silverados. We should, you know, obviously your lease price doesn't reflect that. Let's get a new lease price from you. Us as an agency can't assume that our clients are going to constantly update us on their pricing. We can't assume that.
Now, hey, looks like you got a fan club over here in the sidebar. Patrick O'Brien says, hi, Laura. We got John Sinclair. Oh, you've already talking to him. Oh, you are so
I did,
good.
Patrick. I saw Patrick at the last conference I was at. Matter of fact, I see Steve Silverstein is there. Worked with Steve. Steve used to work with the Len Stoller group. He used to work at Westbury Toyota. He then moved and semi-retired to down in Florida. So hi, Steve. Hope everything's doing great down in Florida.
David Cribbs is over there. Mike Phillips. Domingo Labaros. I hope I said your name right, Domingo. I've got Adam Lasso Smith. Yeah, we're gathering quite a crowd here.
We got Tom Ring here. Tom Ring's from my neck of the woods. He's from Brown Daub. Used to be owner of Brown Daub Kia. I think you know who Tom. You might have. I'm sure Jim Ziegler at some point have met Tom Ring.
I have. Absolutely.
Yeah, so he's on.
Okay. Well, let me ask you. What I'm going to ask Craig this question. Craig, what does CF Search Marketing do?
Whatever you ask us to.
Craig?
I'm sorry, Jim, go ahead.
Craig, what does CF Search Marketing do? Laura says whatever you ask us to. What does your company do?
Well, I mean, we're a full service digital advertising agency, focused solely on the automotive vertical. Our sister company, Crera Advertising, is a full service traditional advertising agency focusing solely on the automotive vertical. So between the two of our agencies, we can literally cover everything under the sun. Um, Company Laura was founded in 2007, so it's 11 years old now, right? I want to say. Um, Carrera has been around for even longer, um, but we're not the biggest agency on the block. There's no secret about that, but we'd like to feel that we're one of the top agencies in the U.S. We're very hands-on with every one of our clients, whether you're a large group or a single point store.
Okay, now wait a second. Wait a second.
We've developed some great software over the years.
Hey, Craig, you say hands-on. Now, what do you mean by hands-on?
Well, our account executives, Laura is one of the directors, so she has a bunch of people underneath of her. But the account executives that are in charge of all the accounts, they all have automotive experience. I don't think we have anybody in the company that hasn't worked at some point in time in a dealership, any of them.
That's one thing that impressed me about you guys.
Yes. So, when we're going over, we don't just go, okay, everyone, here's your last month's PowerPoint. This is what you did last month. These are for what we expect to see this coming month. We actually roll up the sleeves. We get into the dealership. We want to understand the culture of the dealership, what drives that local area, what drives that particular dealership. We try to have a really cohesive relationship between CF Search and our dealer partners. Laura herself is fantastic. She was my AE when we had the Len Stoller group, when I was at the Len Stoller group, and she would call me out of the blue and be like, "Hey, I was thinking about this. I think we should try this or that." And it was always nice to have a company reach out and offer suggestions as far as marketing strategies versus just read off some PowerPoint deck about what happened the previous month.
Yeah, so Craig hit the nail on the head. It's literally, again, the whole help me, help you. And I can say that to a client that we want all this information, but it's really on us as the agency to make sure we're getting it. And the easiest way to do that is not to be told, it's to see it yourself. So we go inside of our dealerships, we spend time in our dealerships, we talk to the marketing, director, we talk to the sales managers, we'll talk to the salespeople, we get involved in a million different ways. We have salespeople sending us stuff for social media, or we give them tools to do it themselves. We'll help, as you know, salespeople are becoming their own marketing companies. You got guys like Mike Davenport out there, he's his own little thing. So, it's not the dealer who did that. It's him. He did it. So I talk about that to a lot of my, of course, I always run it through the dealer first. There are going to be some dealers who aren't going to be really too fond of people running their own business to that extent, possibly in their dealerships, but more and more are being open to it. So, we always offer I'll sit down with the sales team, I'll give them names like Mike Davenport. I'm like, listen, if you're blocked and you don't know what to say, how do I communicate? What types of things do I share? What is oversharing? Follow people like Mike and see what he's posting. He's very successful at it. So, follow the guy that does it right. Mike's a great guy. You reach out to him. I've heard a million stories. Salespeople have asked him, what should I do or run this scenario? And he's really great about interacting with other salespeople. And he's like, share, I'll share my success with you. I'll show you how to do it. So we'll get in there, we'll sit in front of the salespeople. I have salespeople text me all the time. They're like, I'm running into a block. What should I post? What should I talk about? And we'll get involved in that way. We get involved in service, talking to them about process, get involved in sales to service processes, BDC processes. We don't sell training. So let me make that really clear. We are not trainers. Right. We do not sell. I know there's a million of them out there, some really great ones. We don't sell training. So we are your marketing agency, but we obviously have some extensive knowledge ourselves from working inside of the dealerships. We know every CRM that's out there. One of us is an expert in. I'm familiar with all of them. Reynolds I lived in, so I know that one like the back of my hand. Craig is an eLeads expert. So when I have something in eLeads, I call him. I bring him into my clients.
Oh, I got a question for you. You see it on the sidebar there, Ken Bueller?
Yes.
How do you deal with resistance from dealer principals who are clueless about what they are currently paying for?
How do you deal with dealer principals who are clueless about what they are paying for? You teach them. And listen, is everybody going to get it? Are some people not going to want to be taught? Sure, absolutely. On this side of the fence, you got to be a little bit of a chameleon, but you can't just accept the situation that you're in when you have a client who doesn't get what they're getting, and you can't just shove it down their throat and just tell them it is what it is, or you just have to blindly trust me. Give them other resources outside of your company. So don't just trust me. Here's what Google says about it. Here's what Jim Ziegler says about it. Here's some other opinions on it. And a lot of times when I ask, when I tell a dealer something or put them in a direction, I say, this is an opinion, but here's what my opinion is based on: these facts, this experience, but you do have pushback. You're going to have times. As from a marketing side, we like to have access to a dealer CRM. We're not using your CRM data for anything else except for just to make sure that, number one, the money you are spending is resulting in the leads that it should be, and that that your website's doing what it should be doing, and that your leads are coming into your CRM. We look at all your other third-party leads, and it's not to tell you to get off AutoTrader or Cars.com, but we know that most people aren't looking into all those systems and giving you all the data. So we just give it to you. It's your opinion in the end, what you're going to do, your decision, what you're going to do with it. But here's how AutoTrader's performing. Here's how Cars.com. Here's your cost. You decide. That's up to you. But we'll make sure we gather that information. A lot of dealers don't have somebody inside the dealership that does that for them. So we will be that person. We're like an external employee. I've looked at contracts and, gave them suggestions on negotiating. I've helped them negotiate a garbage contract. Okay. It has nothing to do with what I do. But again, if a dealer, that's why I said, when you ask, what do? We will do what you need from us. But
I have one
back to a challenging dealership is, there's times we'll ask a dealer for their CRM access and they are upset about stuff or they want information on stuff, but then they won't give us what we need. So it's help me help you. If you can't give me access to the information you're asking me to give my opinion on or give my, show you some facts on, I can't help you. And you kind of tie my hands. If you won't let me talk to your sales managers, if you won't let me talk to your service directors, you do tie us up a little bit.
Hey, I got Steven Silverstein on. He says he misses all of us.
We miss you too, Steve.
South Florida. Hey, listen, one thing that Craig and Laura, one thing you just said, the disconnect between the troops and the dealer is the vendors that are selling the dealers. The vendors are closing the dealers out, and they're not giving the dealer true analytics. They're given very heavily weighted analytics. I wouldn't necessarily say bogus analytics, but yeah, I would. But anyway, the dealers are being sold a lot of stuff by the vendors, and they really need an agency in the middle that can interpret what's real and what's not real and decipher the analytics. Is that fair to say, Craig?
100%. That's literally going to be a huge talking point of our presentation. I'd like to think most vendors are there to help dealers versus hurt dealers. However, to Laura's point, educating the dealer principal, educating the general managers on what to look for with a good a good vendor partner, how it's going to actually benefit the dealership versus just be another invoice that everybody's getting tired of paying it every 30 days. And one other thing, Jim, that you mentioned or you brought up about vendors. One of the other points that we're going to touch on is Lately, a lot of brands like Ford Direct has their Ford Direct digital advisors. Lexus has their digital team. Shift Digital has a bunch of people running around out there telling what dealers to do and what not to do. And a lot of times, these guys and girls will come into a dealership, start spewing off advice or tips and tricks that they just heard somewhere from someone, and it doesn't necessarily align with the current marketing strategies or even BDC sales process strategies or whatever it might be with what the employees at that dealership have worked really, really hard to try to install. So one of the touch points or talking points we're going to go over and give you guys some good key takeaways is when these OEM digital people come in, regardless of who the brand is, a good way to kind of get some takeaways from them, listen to what they're saying, because a lot of times your dealer principals and your general managers are like, you have to listen to what they say. They're coming in from General Motors, and General Motors knows what they're talking about. I'm like, well, if they did, they might want to look at what website platforms they're running on. I'm not going to.
When you talk about General Motors knows what they're doing, I generally say, shop, click, and drive. How's that working for you?
Exactly. I got three little letters that I'm not going to talk about right now as far as some websites are concerned. But that's kind of my overall point is sometimes I'm going to use air quotes here, experts from the manufacturers come in. And look, these guys and girls, they all mean well, but sometimes they just stir up the honeypot. And again, that's where that disconnect comes, where you're trying to go left and they come in and they're trying to steer the ship right. And there's a right and wrong way to kind of deal with the information they're given, especially as it applies when they do one of these website audits, where they come in and they're like, oh, well, look at everything we found on your website. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, that's actually there for a reason. So I feel like a lot of this hasn't necessarily been talked about before. And I think that as digital marketing continues to grow by leaps and bounds, I mean, it's 2018, you would think that everybody would have a solid understanding of this. It's not like back in 2006 where people were like, hey, are you guys still buying those alpha ads on Auto Trader? But we still think that there's a good disconnect between some of these dealer principals and general managers. So we're going to try to do our best to get everybody on the same page. I mean, look, Jim, the internet battle plan is targeted to general managers and dealer principals. So if we can throw a lifeline out to some of these guys and be like, look, digital marketing is not snake oil. The internet's not going away. I know you want your newspapers back, guys, but it's not going to leave.
Wait a minute. Newspaper is extremely effective.
Yes, for lighting fires.
If you're training a puppy.
I was like, what, Jim?
Yeah, if you're training a puppy, a newspaper has great value. Maybe you own a parakeet.
That's right. Or as we do at our house, we in the winter times up here in Maryland, we actually enjoy, a nice fire in the living room. So the newspaper comes in handy when you ball it up nicely and, stuff it into the fireplace to get the fire going.
Well, it's funny you mentioned newspaper because, as you know, I mean, the newspapers are having issues, to say the least. So they're all into digital marketing now, all of them. So let's not forget that the majority small town newspapers, their biggest advertisers were automotive. Now automotive is backing out of paper. So automotive is their biggest target for digital marketing. The majority of these companies, the digital agencies, it's subcontracted. It's not them. There's no team sitting in your small local newspaper. Now in the major metros, this is a little different, but they will have people, and they're starting to build out teams in-house. But most of these smaller newspapers, they're subcontracting it to these big, companies that are churning out. And so then when your rep walks in, when your whatever Times rep walks in to give you a result, they're handing you a report that some third-party company emailed them that morning, and they really can't understand it. So, and even if they can trying to get them to implement anything is difficult because they don't have direct access to those employees. Those employees managing your campaign are not getting any of the information, personal information about you and your dealership and your challenges and these conversations that, like we have with our pay-per-click team. When I have conversations with my dealer, I reply that we have a team meeting. So your social team, your rep management team, your web care team, your pay-per-click team that's all working behind the scenes. The conversations I've had with the dealers all gets relayed. And I may think it's something minor, but I relay everything to them. They get the notes from the meeting. And I've had teams, because I listen, not one person can have every great idea under the sun. So having 5, 6, 7, 8 other minds in on these conversations, they'll call me and they say, I read this and it triggered this and I got this really great idea. Let's get together and produce something like. So you're not going to get those with those major national pay-per-click companies that the local newspapers are basically feeding you. I mean, I saw one dealer, I said, well, let me see one of the reports that you're getting from your pay-per-click. And he literally printed was a stack this big. It reminded me of your TV schedule when you did your TV placement and it showed you every 2:30 in the morning, time your commercial ran, and your agency would say, see, your commercial ran 600 times, even though 900, or half of that was run at, 4 o'clock in the morning. But so he had this huge stack and it was a bunch of keywords with no metrics. And it was the craziest thing ever. I'm like, don't they give it to you in a spreadsheet so that you can manipulate it and look at it? And they're like, no, this is what I get. And it just kind of blew my mind. And I said, well, can you talk to your pay-per-click manager? No, you can't. So
let me ask you another question. There isn't, Laura, you are not speaking at Battle Plan. You're one of the directors of the company. By the way, are you going to be there?
The reason why I can't be there to speak is because I'm actually out of town that same time as your conference. So I'm so sorry.
Oh, but we have a new person that I've not met. And what is her name?
Her name is Kasha Wagner.
Now, she's pretty well known in the industry. Tell me about her.
Yeah, so Kasha lives in Detroit. So she's going to be the neighbor of the conference. She'll be your hometown, homegrown Detroit native. So Kasha came from Chrysler, from FCA. She was the digital marketing manager in Detroit. Had amazing reputation with Chrysler and an amazing.
She's got an amazing reputation. I've talked to so many people, and everybody seems to be looking forward to hearing her. And of course, Craig.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
She's got a great fan base.
Both, of course, I love Craig to pieces, and Kasha. I've known Kasha for quite a few years. Her husband actually worked for our company for a little bit, and that's how I got to meet her. She's a doll. She's a straight shooter. She knows the automotive language. She's been around dealers long enough. The best part of hiring people that know their stuff when they come work for CF Search Marketing, we call them our toughest clients. Our toughest clients are our staff. Our staff just doesn't, and that's how we hire our staff. We want to make sure. I was the same way when I started. I'm like, I want this, I want that, I want to see this, I want to be able to give this to my clients, I want access to this, I want this. And processes change by hiring new people. And Kasha's one of those people. She's like, I want to see. She's a sales director for us, but she is hands-on with her accounts. It's not like she sells and then you never hear from her again. She's calling her dealers all the time. They love her to pieces. You're going to love her. She also worked at Ford Direct for quite some time. So she has a bigger automotive resume than just
like
Chrysler.
I say, I've talked to a lot of people that know her. I'm making phone calls every day talking about Battle Plan. When I mention her name, she is very well known. She's got a great reputation.
She is. Mm-hmm. I think your staff it's right up her alley, with the volume of dealer principals and, big decision makers, people that can, she can speak to the whole help me help you thing. There's, Jim, I'm sure a lot of dealers see the OEM as the enemy. They say all the time, oh, they don't know what it's like to own the dealership. These ASMs come around. What do they know? They're, anyways, you know how it gets. They call the OEMs, like they're brokers. They're just selling me cars and everything's in their best interest, not mine. Kasha's going to be able to give you. So come to Internet Battle Plan with some questions. They're going to do a Q&A. If you want some honest answers from somebody who worked at an OEM, who no longer works at an OEM, she'll tell you, and she'll tell you like it is. She'll tell you what their real goals were when she was there, and how an ASM or how your ASMs and your digital marketing managers at your OEM level can help you. There are things they can do for you, and there is big reasons why you should have a good relationship with them. She would definitely be the person I would want to pick the brain of. So if you have dealers listening, bring some questions for Kasha.
Well, let me ask Craig a question a second. Craig, you're still awake over there?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mean to ignore you, but we've had a little fun talking with Laura for a second.
Laura's much better looking than I am.
No shit.
I got a wig you can borrow. You want a wig? I got a wig. I got a few wigs.
But than either of us. Hey, listen, Craig. You attended Battle Plan in Clearwater. What was your experience with the conference? What did you see?
No, it's fantastic. Speakers were incredibly prepared. And this isn't just a, hey, let's blow some sunshine while we got Ziegler on the line here. It was fantastic. You picked a heck of a venue. It was super convenient, easy in, easy out to the airport. Everything was beyond well prepared. All the other vendors presented very, very well, and they didn't present as vendors. They presented as advocates to help automotive in some way or another, or dealerships, I should say, improve. Whether it was coaching sales practices and coaching, like with what Anthony was speaking to. There were some fantastic other advertising agencies that were there. The guys from you had a new attendee with Max Digital, which was a great alternative to those not necessarily wanting to use well, I don't want to get into the other inventory product that's out there that we all know is so popular, but it was fantastic. It was well organized. It did things that run over. It wasn't dry, and I think everybody walked away with some really good information. So if there's anybody out there that's kind of new to this or I don't know how you would, if you've been living under a rock, not know about the Internet Battle Plan. But if you're thinking about going up to the dealer principal and saying, hey boss, I want to attend one of these things, this is the one to go to. And Detroit in the summertime. Yes. Exactly. If the dealer principal, this is the one. If you're actually going to walk in and try to convince the dealer principal that, hey, look, if you want to learn more about education, if you want to learn more about the digital marketing that is only getting bigger and bigger and bigger, this is the one to go to. Period. It's in Motor City. I mean, you don't get a bigger car town than Detroit. So kudos for putting this one together, Jim. I think this one's going to be maybe the cherry on the sundae for these things so far.
Thank you, big guy. Laura, you've done what, 3, 4?
3.
3. What is your experience with Internet Battle Plan? Why should they come?
So, first of all, it's Jim Ziegler. So there's your number. But secondly, Jim follows a couple really great rules. He doesn't let people speak who he hasn't verified know their stuff. So there's going to be no BS up there. There's going to be no guy who's been in automotive for 6 months and decided he's going to be a trainer. You're not going to hear from that guy. You're not going to hear somebody's thoughts on the way it should be. You're going to hear people who have done it for time and time again, tried and true. The opinions and the recommendations and that you're going to get from his speakers are verified by Jim. Jim talked. You heard Jim said, I talk to people and everybody heard about Kasha. Well, Jim talks to everybody. So, when he hears a name or if he's considering bringing somebody in to speak at his conference, he's going to talk to everybody. You may not know it, but he's calling everybody. Have you heard of this guy? What do I know about this guy? Research this guy. He's going to talk to you 100 times before he makes that decision. It's not about the dollar. It's literally about making sure that the people who attend his conference are literally going to take something away from it.
Yes.
When I had said before, bring your dealer principal. I mean, I think it's great salespeople to come. There are some amazing speakers that speak at gyms that give some really great philosophies, show you how to do things. But let's face it, things that are successful at any dealership have to be top down. I mean, everybody in the middle has to buy in, but if you're the only one going to a conference learning about something and you can't affect the change at your dealership, it's great you learned it, it's great, but you can't make any changes. And it makes it an uphill battle for you to try to get a change to happen when you go back and you're saying, I learned this at Jim Ziegler's. It's better if they're sitting next to you and they're hearing it themselves. And if they have questions, they can ask it themselves. And quite honestly, they're more likely to go back to their dealerships and implement something because they heard it, not because somebody told them they had to do this. So there's everybody inside the dealership is affected by everything that Jim's staff comes up and brings, talks about. So everybody in the dealership is affected by BDC processes.
I've seen several dealers even tune into this broadcast. John Sinclair was on a minute ago, St. Louis. I'm telling you right now, one thing that I am so proud of at Battle Plan is 40% of the audience or more is dealer principals or general managers. And yes, no other conference can claim that. And the reason that we're so successful in getting dealer principals and general managers there is they can come at no charge, whether they bring their employees paid or not. You don't have to bring paid employees to come free to my event.
Right.
That is a big plus.
And the venue.
Dealers, well, we have to
see the venue. It's everyone that I've been to. Jim's venues are always beautiful. It's the experience is wonderful. I mean, it's not just an 8-hour conference of learning. It is all night. I mean, we all are together. Like, it's a small enough conference, you don't get lost in anything. Every vendor hears every speaker, everybody hears everybody is there. We all keep each other accountable. We all can chime in, we get together, we all share ideas. You can get a lot of free advice. You don't have to pay for everything. When the conference is over, everybody's having dinner together. We're all hanging out together, maybe having a couple cocktails together.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. So,
let me ask you.
It's also free time.
I need a testimonial, Laura and Craig. How's Miss Debbie's food selections?
Oh,
fantastic. It should have had its own Michelin star.
Isn't Miss Debbie Miss Debbie is the meeting planner. She puts this thing together.
She does a spectacular job. I mean, she's that big, friendly, smiling face when as soon as you walk in the building, she's greeting everybody and talking to everybody and making sure everybody's got what they need. And of course you, Jim, too, also, but we got to give props to Debbie, no doubt. And
we know who's doing, we really know who's doing all the hard work.
What'd you say, Craig?
I said, we really know who's doing all the hard work.
Well, the last one we had a live band out by the bay. Was that cool or what?
It was awesome. That venue you outdid yourself, Jim. The venue was awesome. I mean, and the timing, Detroit in the summertime. I'm really, really looking forward to this. Really am.
Well, I'm looking for some of the big dealer groups to sign up out of Detroit, and I've gotten commitments from some of the biggest groups, but they haven't pulled the trigger and signed up yet. So right now we got about 20 people signed up, but you know what? We had 200 and something people at the last battle plan, and I didn't have 20 this close. Everybody signs up the last 3 weeks. I don't know why everybody procrastinates, but all of a sudden the floodgates open up and we'll have 200 people before we know it. And
this is true, but we'll get Kasha on that. We'll get Kasha. She's up in Detroit. We'll have her get working on getting people to make their decisions.
Yeah, making decisions in a dealership is difficult to get it all to the top, So I've been doing this 30 years. I understand the business. Now, one thing about Internet Battle Plan, it's all in one room.
That's right.
Yeah.
How many seminars or conferences do you go to that have a bunch of breakouts, and they got 10 speakers simultaneously, and you wonder, does this speaker really good or does this speaker suck?
Well, I've done
exactly.
that. I've been to, I'm not going to name names, but I've been to conferences where, there's 3 things going on at once, and I have to figure out from some weird name. Everybody likes to name their conference some funny. And I know we're doing help me help you, but I think that's pretty obvious. We want you to help us so that we can help you better. But there's a lot of people do some quirky names. They'll be like, just because there's a picture of a beach on my computer, I'll be like, beach in, don't get sand in your toes. And that's the name of their, and you're like, what is that supposed to mean?
Like, don't get sand in your toes. Quit it. I mean, yeah, you're right.
And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? I don't know if I'm wasting my time. And I've done it. I've walked into conferences and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I chose this one. I mean,
and I sat in the front. It'd be obvious if I walk out.
I've done it. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to walk out. I don't want to walk out, but I really want to go to the other session. And trust me, if you don't name, I'm just going to say this out to the vendors and speakers of the world, please start naming your presentation, what it is. Now at gyms, it's okay because to be honest with you, you're sitting there, you're seeing everyone. So you can be as obscure as you want, not a big deal. But when you do NADA and you go to Digital Dealer, please stop being crafty with the name of your seminar. It's frustrating to people to walk in and you may have a great seminar. It just may not be relevant to the person who walked in. So, if you're talking about service something and a BDC rep comes in because they misunderstood, it's just frustrating. And now that person just missed out on an opportunity to see something that was relevant to their position. So stop with the craftiness.
my speakers, and this is just me, you're not going to hear any crude language coming off the stage. I've had speakers that just impress the hell out of themselves with how many F-bombs they can drop in a speech. And
it's uncalled for.
And I don't.
And you can see the difference between an accidental.
Might be a little different. I might use some of those words, but you're not going to do it on my stage. And
and there's a difference between an accidental, somebody, if their slide messes up and all of a sudden they do a little F, obviously it wasn't a planned something. It's like not the end of the world, but to F-bomb every other word, it's
it takes away from it. Truly, when people start using explicit language, it just really takes away from the overall presentation as a whole.
Hey, Sean Hayes is aboard.
Sean Hayes.
Sean Hayes. I got an E for you, Sean. Next month, I'm bringing you an
Matt
E.
Koenig has showed up. We got Koenig, we got Sean Hayes, Trent Cannon, and Sundesky is still hanging around.
Yeah, Sundesky likes to lurk behind the bushes. You never know what that guy's up to.
Yeah, he's a lurker, Oh, we got Sandusky. We got, let's see who else is here.
Billy Reynolds, big Billy Reynolds from E-Lead.
Yeah.
He's running around E-Lead 1.
Hey, let me tell you what. Bill Wittenmeyer from E-Leads is one of the featured speakers, and Billy the Wit always gives a heck of a presentation. We got Eric Gales back.
We got to get Billy Reynolds to bring Randall Lyons. Jim, I don't know if you ever met Randall, but Randall's a hoot. Good old boy from down south. Randall?
I like Randall a lot.
Yeah, Randall's good people. People.
Randall Lyons is very good people. And Eric Gale was speaking, and that's amazing. Number one e-dealer in the country, the Cardinelli Group. Eric Gale has spoken at 6 battle plans and never did the same subject twice. And he's one of the few speakers that gets a standing ovation out of the crowd.
It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do because you kind of get stuck into this thing. But I mean, there is so much that goes into automotive. I mean, so much. If you can't find something new to say and all you're doing is changing the color of your slides, we lost Craig. But if all you're doing is changing the color of your slides, you don't have anything new to say.
There's Craig.
I think we lost him.
No, we didn't lose him.
He's still here.
He's still there.
I'm right here.
Do you see him? Because I don't. Oh, there we go.
I had you on solo, kid.
Jim, I'm starting to think that Laura is the favorite kid here.
I don't see him anymore.
Okay, let me put Craig up. There he is.
Okay.
Craig, I've been a fan of Craig ever since he saved Little Orphan Annie.
Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah.
I have a red wig. Oh, I got to get a red curly wig. I can be
Yeah.
Annie.
Well, Jim, Jim, I got to give credit where credit is due. It was
I can't
Mr.
hear
Chris
you, Craig.
Sandusky. You can't hear me?
Yeah, you're on.
Can you hear?
Live.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Lars messing me up, but I was going to say I got to give credit where credit's due. It was Mr. Chris Sandusky, the king of BDCs himself, that actually put me into the group. We'll say the group, and actually really introduced me to Mr. Ziegler. So something good came out of a relationship with Chris Sandusky, I got to say. But no, it's always great getting on with you, Jim. It really is.
It looks like we lost Laura for a second here. Oh, she's back. Let's put her back in. Come on back. Laura, you back?
I'm here.
Yeah.
There she
We were
is.
talking about you for that 30 seconds you were gone there.
Well, that's what I was worried about because I couldn't hear what Craig was saying. So I had to refresh. I had to log out and log back in because I knew if he knew I couldn't hear him, there'd be some crazy stuff going on. You know, the stories about the car wash at NADA do not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. We got some stories. You want stories? We got stories.
I want stories.
I've been in the business at 42 years. I definitely have some stories.
So tell me, what's the craziest, or give us one, give us anyone, give us a good story without the names.
Okay, well, when I was working for Superior Nissan, which was Datsun actually in the beginning, and we're talking the late 70s into the early 80s, my used car manager's named Ken Vargas. Now, Ken is still in the business in Jacksonville. Ken Vargas was a young guy. I was a young guy. And I sold this woman a Mustang 2, if you remember those little ugly Mustang 2s they came out with. And I wrote on it 6 cylinders. I mean, I was selling cars. I didn't know they even made 4-cylinder Mustangs, but it was a 4-cylinder. And she came back a couple of days later, hopping mad. So Ken Vargas did the honorable thing. He put the other 2 cylinders on back order.
Oh my gosh.
Gave her a wheel for the other 2 cylinders.
Oh, brother.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And Ken's still in the business. And the other one, I was in New Orleans, and I was consulting the Bone Brothers. Now, we took the Bone Brothers Ford and Bone Brothers Toyota from 100 units to 400 units a month in less than 6 months. Both stores were doing 400 units. And they had a used car manager named Manny. I won't say Manny's last name. But Manny, I saw him do this. He had a customer. He says, you can't buy the car that cheap. You're not a wholesaler. You don't even have a wholesale license. And the customer says, well, what's a wholesale license? He says, you have to have a wholesale license to buy the car as cheap as you want to buy this car. Now, I can get you one. They're $50. And he had in his desk a bunch of certificate paper, printed up wholesale license, and he would sell the customer a wholesale license for $50. They could buy the car at that price.
Oh my gosh.
You can't buy the car that cheap. You don't have a wholesale license.
Oh my gosh.
He'd write their name on the wholesale license, make them sign it.
It's crazy.
You know.
And did they do it? I'm assuming they did it, right? Ugh.
Oh, he made a couple $100 a week selling wholesale licenses.
Yeah, I mean, right. And I, some of the stories, even when I first started in automotive, I would hear, you know, something crazy would go on. I'd be like, I can't believe this happens. And like, nobody does anything. And what's going on here? And everyone would be like, oh, please, Laura, you should have been here 20 years ago. You would have seen what was going on here 20 years ago. You know, they're like, we're doing really good now compared to then.
The car business was the Wild West. Now, Lisa Sandusky's on. Now, Craig,
Hi,
you know Lisa?
Hi, Lisa.
Yeah, of course, you know, Chris used to work for CF Search Marketing. We've met Lisa many times. She's a sweetheart.
Well, you know his daughter, Lexi?
Yes.
I never got the pleasure of meeting her, but yes, I do know about, seen it.
I did a mean thing to Lisa. I told her daughter, and I guess Lexi's, I don't know, 12 or 13. I'm not sure how old Lexi is, but I taught Lex that if you put saran wrap over the toilet and then put the seat down.
Oh, poor Chris.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
You're like that uncle. That uncle. I have.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Saran wrap. You put saran wrap over the toilet and then put the seat down.
Hopefully it wasn't a number 2, Chris. You'll have to fill us in on the end result.
Oh God, that's awful. Lisa's smiling. I've had dinner at their house. They are just wonderful people. Wonderful people. They, I couldn't say enough about them. Anyway, Internet Battle Plan. You guys are involved. We're going to have Craig over there. Hey, Chris Sandusky, does this man look like Daddy Warbucks or what?
I'm just trying to live up to Chris Sandusky's wardrobe standards.
We gotta get a duet going here. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be rain.
Tomorrow.
Love you.
Oh, Craig.
Craig, you're stuck with that for life now. You know it.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. So I'm sure when this video is over, I'll be getting plenty of text messages from a couple of my friends that are on here. Mark Dent, for one. He's a automotive guy here in the Baltimore area, and Sandusky. I'm sure there's going to be some serious chop busting here after all this. So thank you, Laura and Jim. I appreciate all of that.
I have more fun every time you guys are on a broadcast with me. It gets back to where we're cutting up and we're so far off subject, but
that's right. Hey Jim, real quick, I missed the broadcast, but I saw that who was the young lady you had on from Automotive Masterminds?
Oh my gosh, that Rhonda Lewis. Rhonda has
go.
been a friend of mine. She's spoken at several battle plans. Back when she worked for one of the Cox companies bought him out, Dealer Track.
There you go.
When Dealer Track was sponsoring Battle Plan before Cox bought them, she was their speaker. She is an excellent speaker. She's got stage presence. She's got command of the stage. She's an attractive woman. She's a powerful woman. She's an intelligent woman. I can't say enough positives about Rhonda Lewis. And Automotive Mastermind is more than data mining. It's they do data mine, they do equity mine, but they do so many other data points. It's incredible what they do. It's a pretty good, strong company. It's coming on strong. Do you know Chris Hill from Overtake Digital?
I've met him in the past. I don't know him personally, but I have met him.
Now, once again, he's probably a competitor, but one thing about Chris Hill, he aside from the fact he's a dynamic speaker, he owns a GTR that is like a 5-6 second machine on the quarter mile.
Really?
I mean, he has got one of the fastest GTRs in the world. And
does he race them?
What?
Does he race them?
Does he race it? You know that show they have with the outlaw where they go out and they illegally race on the street? They'd make a TV show.
We watch it all the time.
He's been on that.
Is he really? I've probably seen him on it then. We watch it all the time. My son loves that show.
He's going to be speaking at Battle Plan. People ask him about he had his race car at Digital Dealer. He actually had the car on the floor.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, it's very lightweight. All the body parts have been replaced. Just incredible car.
That's awesome.
Hey,
well, Marissa Omar, she races too.
We lost Craig.
Oh, we did lose Craig. I think he froze up there. Craig.
But anyway, Sandra Benstock Delalio just showed up. You know, and that's Brian Benstock's sister, but she's also with Atlantic Auto Group up in New York. One of my favorite groups.
We work with them. They're an amazing group. I know. Matter of fact, I came on when you had Tony Ann on, and
Tony Ann speaking of Battle Plan.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not going to be there, but I'll make somebody live stream it so I can see it.
Well, anyway, Tony Ann Lupo Fardet. Tony Ann's been a friend of mine for about 10 years now. She's brought me into the dealership several times to do some training for the Atlantic Auto Group. The $1 billion girl. She's run a $1 billion BDC. You know, how many stores, Sandra? 24, I believe. 24 stores. And she just recently went out on her own. Now she's one of us. She's a consultant now. And, $1 billion girl. She's speaking at Battle Plan on how she ran a $1 billion BDC. 24 dealerships. I mean, we're going nuts.
She's a no-nonsense girl. You want to really get some great takeaways. I mean, she's a girl I would follow.
What's that?
I said, Tony Ann, she's if you really want to know how to get it done and she'll tell you like it is, she's the girl that you need to follow. So.
Oh my God, we got Mark Dental on. This has been a really great broadcast. I hate losing Craig.
Yeah, we got El Patron. He's up in the New York Metro. He's killing it up there, or up here near me, actually.
Hey, Craig, not only is Craig back, but he went and got dressed. Okay, Craig, what happened to you? What happened to you, big guy?
I know. Well, it was, it's one of these things where I'm.
Okay. Laura,
Not sure.
We've been on an hour.
It's an hour. It goes like that with you.
Okay, CF Search Marketing. How can they get in touch with you? Will you please type it into the sidebar?
Laura, just give out your personal cell phone number.
Well, that's what I do. That's not abnormal. So we work off of our cell numbers. All my clients, and of course all my friends can call me on my cell phone 24 hours a day.
No, not your private work cell phone number, like your personal cell phone number.
I only have one. One number.
Okay.
That's only for the days that I'm wearing the wig, Craig.
Right. The easiest thing to do, obviously visit our website. Just do a Google search for CF Search Marketing. We're the only CF Search Marketing out there. My email address is simple. It's Craig@CF Search Marketing. And you could simply email Laura at CF Search Marketing.
Yeah, I put my cell phone number up in the chat. Anybody can call, even if it doesn't even have to be directly about marketing business. If you ever just need a friend to chat to about anything dealership related, or just, want to pick people's brains on the vendor side, I've been on the dealer side, definitely can use me and Craig as a resource anytime. And I hope we'll get to all, meet everybody and see everybody at Internet Battle Plan in Detroit.
Oh, please sign up for Internet Battle Plan. By the way, it's only $6.95. I dropped the price. For years, I sold thousands of tickets at $1,500 a ticket. And last year, I dropped the price to $7.95. And this year, I've dropped it to $6.95. Plus, dealers, general managers, and any member of the dealer's family are at no charge.
Can't beat that.
It's a fantastic deal.
Well, listen, guys, I hate to end the broadcast. I so seldom get to visit with you two.
I know. You know what? You were in the Lehigh Valley like a couple weeks ago, and I wish I would have saw that sooner. I was actually on the road while you were here in town. I was out of town, but if you ever come up to Pennsylvania, to the Lehigh Valley, or even Philadelphia, Philadelphia is only like an hour and 15 minutes, if that, from me. So if you're ever in Philly, up in Lehigh Valley, we're going to dinner.
My buddy Jake Leibowitz and Wayne Heilman. And Wayne Heilman's been a friend of mine for 30 years. and they put my picture on the billboard, the main billboard on the street, on the highway. And they had my picture again on the electronic billboard in front of the dealership.
I saw that. That's cool.
Jake Leibowitz, my good friend Carl Madonna works there. Corey, the general sales manager. Eric, the general manager. I love those guys. That's Allentown Kia, great dealership. I don't go into dealerships that much anymore, but I made an exception because there's so many of my friends in that store. Just wild.
Well, I'll give a shout out to you Lehigh Valley people. I'm here in Easton, so I'm very familiar with your friends there at Allentown Kia.
Say goodbye, Craig.
Goodbye, Craig.
Goodbye, Craig. Say goodbye, Laura.
Bye, Laura.
Bye, Laura.
Goodbye, Jim.
Bye, Jim.
Bye,
Bye,
Jim.
Jim. Jim, thank you